Killers of the Flower Moon is a true American Western crime drama film directed and produced by Martin Scorsese based on the 2017 book of the same name written by David Grann. It's set in the 1920s Oklahoma. It focuses on a series of murders that took place to the Osage Nation after oil was discovered on their land. While the tribe had maintained the mineral rights on their reservation, a corrupt local politician boss sought to steal members of the wealth through marriage, murder and theft. The film stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro and Lily Gladstone. The film had its premiere at the Cannes Film Festival back in May before getting a theatrical release last October 2023 and then released on Apple TV in January 2024. As the cast is made up of De Niro, DiCaprio and Gladstone, there are multiple other big name actors who have smaller roles in the film, but I wouldn't feel comfortable to call it an ensemble like some do. I think that it really is a film with that trio and most of the time even a duo, but I'll come to that. Of course we all know DiCaprio and what he's capable of giving in a film, and here I don't think he did enough. I really don't. I don't think DiCaprio was as good as he could have been here. He's able to sell Ernest, his character, this as someone who's perhaps not the brightest and is definitely easily led by his uncle, who's played by De Niro in this case, but there's a reason not many people were talking about him after this film, that a lot of the focus is on De Niro and Gladstone, that he was definitely outshone by those two here. Niro was outstanding in this film in his ability to play the field and see everything that kind of was taking place in the film via the line that he kind of treaded throughout it. Like, he is the focal point and the connection between so many characters that it is hard to imagine kind of a lesser power being in that position. To be at that age and giving that type of performance as such a key part of a character and a film did surprise me, but I was definitely happy about it. It'll probably be Robert Downey Jr.'s Oscar to lose in this regard, but De Niro did do a solid performance. But it wouldn't be award season if there wasn't some contentiousness, and the main contention comes here from Lily Gladstone. She has been nominated as Best Actress in a Leading Film. She won a Golden Globe for her performance in this film, January just gone. But there are some who feel perhaps she should have got nominated for Best Supporting Actress, which if she had, 100% would walk this in terms of a victory. And while I do think that Emma Stone deserves Best Actress, I can understand why Gladstone campaigned for and was nominated as Best Actress in this feature, but it is more of a presence in the background of the film, and what I mean by that is you can feel her character in scenes that she's not in, but the amount of film that she is in probably wouldn't make sense for it to be Best Actress nominated. Like, it's a confident choice to go with Best Actress when that's not guaranteed win, when you could have gone for Best Supporting on 100% of one. I think that while the film itself pivots around the Osage and their lives after the discovery of oil and Gladstone's character's Molly's family specifically, just herself and her character aren't the pivot point, whereas in Poor Things Emma Stone's character is the pivot point. Here it's Molly's / Lily's family at large is the pivot point that it moves around. And that is something that perhaps could end up being where I can see her starting to struggle in terms of winning. But she outperformed DiCaprio. Wasn't as good as De Niro, but that's because De Niro was unbelievable in this film. But definitely, like, her presence was felt and was very strong throughout it. It's just, it didn't feel as good as Poor Things to me in terms of acting ability. This film, like most, of course, has questions around morality. Our first interaction with Ernest shows you that he's a veteran of World War I and has some impairments after this, whilst being a self-proclaimed womanizer who loves just about anything and everything that moves. But throughout the film, for reasons unknown, this never really gets explored, so I don't understand why we have to talk about it in the first place, but however. I imagine there was some form of interest there for Ernest with regard to Molly, but perhaps his uncle's comments to say that he should get with her or marry her probably swayed him in that regard. At no point do we think that Ernest is a genius or even a smart man, and we understand while being easily led by his uncle, he also falls into traps of his own making in regard to pursuing wealth. And this is something that is seen when the decision is made for some of Molly's family to have to disappear, for her to get a larger share, and then that to go to Ernest and to De Niro's character's family in general. And he's incapable of basically doing that in a way that kind of makes sense or would perhaps earn money for his family. While Ernest does definitely care about Molly and his children, I think the questions of morality does come from, did he know what he was doing when it came to causing grief for Molly, or when he imparted parts of the family or was taking over some of them? I truthfully don't think so. I think he was just doing things that was being asked of him, showing that perhaps morality and struggles in life aren't perhaps of our own making, and instead just come when we end up being easily led. If there was any actor other than DiCaprio, I think there'd be more comments about how weak-willed Ernest actually was in this film, and perhaps it would have made more sense that his inability to make his own choices, and anytime he did make his own choice, it backfired and caused problems. But up until his continued poisoning of Molly, I would have to say I wasn't 100% sure whether he was just falling for things or if he was making his own choices, but the fact that continued kind of made it clear. This film is very long, and nearly 3.5 hours, and some people appreciate the way that it kind of wrapped up the end with Scorsese speaking all of the struggles for the Osage clan. But I think the film making the decision to focus on Ernest and his uncle as opposed to the Osage themselves was something that was a missed opportunity, and I don't want to say I didn't like the film, but it's not something I'd watch again. And I think it was too long, the focus was in the wrong place, DiCaprio was miscast, and I would like to have seen more of the Osage, how they struggled with effectively being under the thumb of the rich white man in this case. After the wealth was discovered, they needed to have chaperones, needed people to sign off on things, and they made a mistake in that regard. And I think Scorsese focused on star power rather than telling a story of the Osage. But I understand a lot of people think differently, so I feel like I'm probably in the minority there. But those are my initial, first and overwhelming thoughts with regard to the film. But while I would like Emma Stone to win the Oscar, I won't be complaining if Gladstone does get it. So if hopefully no matter what happens, it's a solid night and Gladstone gets a great career out of this, because I think she definitely deserves one.